Hey everybody, welcome back to Chasm Tech. Today, I'm going to be benchmarking this $309 PC in 13 different games, both esports and single player. In today's computer market, it's very difficult to find affordable parts that are still able to run modern games well. However, I think I've done a pretty good balance with this computer right here. It's all white, first of all, looks very cool, and it has an unconventional but surprisingly good processor in it. It has the Intel Xeon E5-2680 V4. It's a workstation processor, so a lot of people don't think about it when they're building their systems, but it has one huge advantage for gaming: 35 megabytes of shareable L3 cache. This is more than even the practically brand new AMD Ryzen 7 9700X. And this gives it a huge advantage in modern games that require a lot of L3 cache to run without stuttering. It also has a GTX 1070, which is getting on in years, but still has most of the modern hardware necessary to run modern games without having serious issues. But I think, without further ado, let's get into the benchmarks so you can see its performance for itself. Alright, heading into our first game, Counter-Strike 2. These are the settings we're using: low competitive settings. Counter-Strike 2 prefers high single core speed over almost anything else. Therefore, the Xeon is at a disadvantage with this game. However, the large L3 cache still helps it get over 144 FPS with an average of 166. This will most likely be closer to 200 in regular 5v5 game modes. It's more than enough FPS to play with your friends and not experience issues with your frames. Rust is a notoriously difficult game to run, occasionally bringing even relatively mid or high-end systems to their knees. Despite this, we managed to get an average of 77 FPS, albeit with significant stutters, with a 1% low of 14 and a 0.1% low of 1. This game is definitely playable on this system. However, if you're looking for a very competitive experience, you may want to go with something with faster single core speeds. PUBG is a great experience on this system. Despite playing on medium settings instead of the more competitive low, we managed to get 119 FPS on average, with even the 1% low being over 60. Of course, you could turn it down to low for more FPS, however medium looks a lot better, and I really enjoyed playing on this system. Heading into a single player game now, Cyberpunk 2077 runs surprisingly well on this system, on high settings with FSR 2 on quality. We managed to get over 60 FPS, with 1% and 0.1% lows being over 40, clearly showing that this game is very playable on this system and really looks very good as well. Even at native 1080p, this game would probably be playable on high settings, with frame rates hovering around 30 or 40 FPS. Or you could just drop it to medium and play at about 1080p 60 native. Even the enhanced edition of GTA 5 is pretty easy to run. With that being said, even on maxed out settings, minus ray tracing, still getting almost 100 FPS, with even 0.1% lows being over 60. That is very impressive. If you're building a PC like this to play GTA 5, you'll have a great experience, whether on the Legacy or the Enhanced Edition.
This PC also puts up a very impressive performance in arc raters. Even on medium settings, we're getting over 67 FPS average, and the game looks really good. If you wanted better 1% lows, of course you could go down to low, but this is most likely how I would play, as the game looks really good, and you still get very playable FPS. Red Dead Redemption 2 plays well on the balanced preset with an average of 46 FPS and 1% lows of 36 and 34. While the average might not seem too amazing, the 1% and 0.1% lows show that this game is very smooth and stable, even at this lower frame rate, and therefore for a single player game, it's more than playable, and this is personally how I would play on this system for those enhanced graphics compared to the performance mode. Despite being a 2025 game, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 runs very well on this system, getting over 60 FPS on average on medium settings. I would highly recommend playing this game if you do have this system or a similar one. Death Stranding 2 is arguably the most realistic looking game of all time, and despite that, it runs on this system. Now of course, it's not going to look quite as fantastic on low settings, however being able to turn the textures up to high really helps, and you'll see that this game still looks incredibly good, and runs fairly well with an average of 42 FPS, 1% lows of 35, 0.1% low 33, showing that this game is still stable and very playable on this system. Fortnite generally performs very well on performance mode, getting an average of 171 FPS with low settings, medium view distance. Despite this, you can see that it's stutter night and it's still stuttering with 1% lows 42, 0.1% lows of 20. It's stutter night, guys. If you play a couple games, this will smooth out, and overall, it's more than enough to just mess around with your friends, even play a little bit of ranked. Shadow of the Tomb Raider runs excellently on high settings, getting an average of 87 FPS with a 1% low of 65. As you can probably see throughout these benchmarks, the large L3 cache is helping this processor get smoother results than might otherwise be typical of processors from the same era. Hogwarts Legacy also runs very well on high settings with 61 FPS average, 38 1% lows. This game loves to use lots of RAM, so upgrading to 32 gigabytes would most likely help smooth out those 1% lows, but we all know what the price of RAM is like right now, so this is more than a good experience. Valve's newest game, Deadlock, performs well, getting an average of 112 FPS with 1% low of 70. The game is very smooth and you won't have any problems playing competitively. Well, guys, that was the $300 Xeon PC and 13 different games. Let me know what you want me to test next in the comments, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Thank y'all so much. Have a great day. Peace.